Good evening and welcome. I see a lot of familiar faces and some that aren't always here for poetry night. So we're pleased that so many people came out to support our 30th anniversary Dickinson poetry reading. And we're thrilled to have Meg Ziegelmann as our readers. So she'll come up and say a few words about her poetry and then read for a while, and then we'll have the people who've signed up for the open mic, and then Meg will finish with a couple of poems at the end. So welcome everyone, and please feel free, please do join us in the gathering room for goodies afterwards.
Well, that's confidence building. Yeah, I'm always a little confused when I come as to when are you supposed to applause, after every poem or at the end or what? So for me, do it at the end. Save it for the end. And so, anyway, if 15 years ago anybody had said the word poetry to me, I would have said, I don't like poetry. I find it lofty. I don't understand a lot of it. I don't like the cadence of it. It was memoir writing that I wanted to do and what I was interested in. Our family wasn't good about passing along stories of our family history, and I really did want to leave something for my children, my grandchildren, and now my great-grandchildren. And so when Nancy Raffel, sitting out here, at the startup of Word Women, invited me to join the group, I said, no, it won't fit my goal. And she said, well, that's okay. You can write your memoir. It'll work. Well, that was a lie. The structure and the cadence between a memoir and poetry they don't read well next to each other at all. And so too embarrassed to drop out, because this was my friend, and Estella Lauder was also part of that, and she was a friend. Here I am, 40 poems later, because I didn't drop out. And so the one thing that I discovered, and what kind of hooked me on it, was that you could take out with poetry, all of the ands and thus and wherefores, and then what you did is you found yourself in the center of the heart of what you really wanted to say. And all of you who have been writing already know that. But that was a really nice discovery for me. And what I also found is my memoir, well, it could be wrapped inside the poems. So I got it done anyway. And I was happy about that. So I thank Nancy, and I wish Raffel, and I wish Estella Lauder was here too, for not only encouraging me, but others like me that were aspiring to write, as well as the very practiced and accomplished writers, for keeping this series going in the community, and now Peggy and Donna having picked up that helm and keeping it going. It's a real gift to us who are trying to write, and it's a gift to all of those in the community who come to hear us, including yourselves. And so, well, I thought I'd start with kind of a silly poem, because there's so much heaviness in the news each day. And so it's called Animal Crackers Start My Day. What could be more delightful than falling back into childhood, to the surprise in my hand of an elephant, a bear, or a lion, nibbling piece by piece on its trunk, its legs, or its tail, not too sweet and just right with cold milk. They remind me that there's no rush to life, and how much I also love the animal world. Coffee now takes the place of that childhood milk, but not the warmth of the memories still alive. Oh, but don't tell anyone about my habit. They already are telling enough fibs about me. And those of you who have known me for a while know in terms of my personal habits that I've become an environmentalist from what I call a transformative experience that I had about 30 years ago. And so this poem is called Simplicity is the Way. Simplicity is the way, as I said and said and said. The landfills are overflowing, as are closets and our heads. Dismayed we should be at all our indulgences, of all that I spoke. The cost to babies in other worlds who may not know the joy of living another day. As I weighed the price to humankind, I recycled and I cycled and I walked. Then wrapped a gift in 95 to again use it in 96. Though half its size, it was destined to live again in 97, though now showing the wrinkles of a life that was beginning to age. Till 99, when a gift so small could not be found, a change in the eyes I saw, through my eyes I saw, that even one small step at a time may be what will save another day. Some of you also know that I've particularly enjoyed immersion experiences in other cultures. I love what I learned from them. I found them very exciting. And so when my granddaughters reached the age of 13, as a rite of passage, we would always do a week of service at a First Nation reservation, because I wanted to take them away from the suburban bubble that they lived in and know how that there were others in the world that lived very differently than we did. And that experience, when I had done that with each granddaughter, morphed into launching out on my own and volunteering in other countries, which have included Peru, Tanzania, Wales, South Africa, and Mexico. And so this particular poem is from my volunteering in Peru, and it's called I Opened the Door. I opened the door outward, not inward, to find her, missing a sink, running water, plastic scrubbies, antibacterial soaps, bleach, paper towels. No stove to be seen, only a ground fire, ignited by a match and a drop of hot plastic. Now cooled, she clears out an empty space. Her dishes, her pots and pans are drying in the sun on a rough wooden table. Others are on a roof. Her only tool is a broom, whisking away the floating coca leaves from the dirt floor of a room without walls, an open-air kitchen, now spotless, she with the same smile of pride as I. This poem is about relationships, and it's titled Being for Another. It's choosing to immerse and be wonderfully wrapped in the intricate spiraling of warm fascination when being for another, with all its fragility and caution, not knowing its capacity to receive the uninitiated care, ever tainted with the awareness of its own possible parting, swirling in and out of each other's minds, pulling apart the trail of words that reflect life's essential callings. Yet none would I welcome back from all my patterns so easily or openly, but the impulse to touch and be touched forever by being for another. These are going pretty fast. I may run out. And I even left some at home because I thought I had too many. So the backdrop to my volunteering in Tanzania, Africa, is what this poem's about. The voice of this poem is not my voice. It's the voice of a pair of shoes that I had specifically bought for this volunteer trip, because I knew I was going to be working in soil that was very barren and dusty, and I would be quite dirty each day. And so these shoes would have to be definitely tossed out at the end of the volunteer time. So the title of the poem is, therefore, hopefully appropriately, "These Shoes Are Made for Walkin'." A short walk for a short life, from someone's closet to the thrift store shelf, for there's no wear and tear on me. A shoe of black suede with a touch of class, sturdy, ready to wrap around a foot of the worthy one. Wait, what is this? A woman is picking me up. She's missing my masculine, not my feminine look. She's missing my masculine, not a feminine look. And her foot doesn't fill the empty spaces, yet there's a resolute look about her as she walks to the checkout, leaving me no other choice but to trust my fate to this human face who will take me, make me part of her legacy. Hidden away at first in suitcases and planes, till landing on the hard clay red roads, kicking up the African dust, she sprints and she jumps over rock-strewn floors, gripping the soil in deep trenches, her shovel in hand, digging day after day till the last. She too leaves me, but not until brushing, wiping, cleaning, till again my black suede shines through with class. Not on the shelf this time, though, but neatly set by the door of a shack in Tanzania. Look, do you see? I am back, but I am wrapped in black skin this time, a better color match than your white is. How many of you saw the movie Frida, the story of Frida Kahlo? Yeah, that's a favorite of mine. I even bought it. That's a number of you who did. And so it's for those of you who didn't, it's the true story of a tumultuous relationship between Mexico's famous mural artist, Diego Rivera, and the very first recognized woman artist in Mexico. And she is still held up as the national woman to be esteemed in the area of art. Her film is wonderful. If you haven't seen it, the library has it. And Diego, besides being a wonderful painter, was a very successful lover to many women. And the covenant of marriage didn't stop that. And so she was constantly challenged by him and hurt, often very badly hurt. But she stayed with him, and it was because they deeply, deeply loved each other so much. And in the end, at the very end, it does seem as though he finally was able to show some remorse and some commitment to her that he had been able to before. And so when I was in Peru volunteering, I met a man who reminded me of him, and in all ways. And so I called him my Diego. And so, yeah, he was my Diego, less bulky, more handsome, not a painter, Architecture was his creative expression. The heat of the South radiated from him, as did his air of worldliness. It befitted his wide-brimmed hat and brightly colored ribbons woven through his braids. Lacking no charm, intellect, or prowess, an unmistakable knowing of women. Unpretentious in that fact. His deep brown probing eyes pulling me in. I, not as young as his Peruvian beauty or his Parisian capture, he vowing no wife over the age of 40, even though he was about 65. But I could not be a wife. Oh, yet, but the appeal of it all. A shroud of anonymity, closing the space between us. Would I have to tell, confess, I, a Frida? This, goodness, I'm in trouble. This, you may be out back home by 7:30. I Rebel is the name of this one. I rebel against a government representing the good of the money pot, overlooking transgressions, failed solutions. I rebel against the chain stores with their shelves piled high, moving out our small downtown shops. I rebel against commercial television that dumbs down men, degrades women, sexualizes children. I rebel against fast food that's genetically fake and isn't cared for, yet alone has no taste. I rebel against parents who indulge in, give in, obsess in their children's wants and wishes. I rebel against rationalizing. I must have, I need to have, want to have, deserve to have. I rebel by turning in, by questioning and not giving in. This one is called a foodie. Call me a foodie. I am the word. Wish I had thought of it myself. I wear it so well. Wrapped up in butter, keeping myself warm on cold winter days, filling my belly with soups in the colors, textures, and smells of the season, natural as a vegetarian, full of health while protecting animals from harm, indulging in artisan breads that take me back to England, Wales, and Ireland, a close second to the patisseries with the visual artistry of France, keeping hot with spices while traveling back in memory to Thailand, Spain, and Mexico, sliding into the sensuality of Italy, Greece, and Turkey, the land of olive oil and garlic, likening the root vegetables to the portioned meals of Africa and Russia, delighting in desserts, especially sumptuous when eaten in secret, setting myself right again with salads when I've overdone it, squeezing one more cookbook into that already overstuffed cabinet. It matters not when or where. I've internalized the word foodie, making it mine inside and out. It's not to be claimed as yours, for no one wears it as well as I do. So, thank you for laughing. And this one is a poem about the challenge of resolving discords in relationships, and it's called Resolving. Easier said than done, as the saying goes. Resolutions where there aren't any clear markers, only annoying, murky waters to peer into, while waiting for the mystical messenger of the universe that so many trust in. Why does that messenger not visit me, help me to resolve and then proclaim, even if I'm uneasy about the consequences? For the self, oh, if it were only just for the self, to be able to decide without others, who are sure to resist change made outside of their agreement. Why does resolving have to be so complicated? One's energy usurped of all its passions, leaving us to bear both the best and the worst of resolving. This is my last poem. I'm very surprised. I was sure I was going to run over. So, how many of you have cats? 1, 2, had a cat. Okay, you have had cat, 2 cats. Okay, so we've got. How many of you believe that cats, or know that cats are smarter than dogs? Yeah, I've got. It's mixed. It's mixed here. I believe it. You know why? Because my vet said so. And if you think about it, an example that I can give is that if a dog gets locked out of the house, all it knows how to do is to kind of paw at the bottom of the door and kind of wimp a little bit and bark. Where if a cat gets locked out, cats are problem solvers. That's what makes them smarter. The cat will study the door handle, and if it's horizontal, it will leap up and hang on to it, which causes it to drop. Its weight causes it to drop, and then normally the door will, that little bolty thing or whatever it is, will come and the door will come open. And so, and this has been shown, so it's not just folklore. So anyway, so all of you who have kitties can feel good about them. And so, this one is called "To All the Kitties I've Loved Before." And it's obviously a takeoff on Willie Nelson's "To All the Girls I've Loved Before." Cinders, Singapore, Suling, Marmalade, Tasha, Rumi, and Sammy. Cinders, this is my all-black kitty, and only faintly remembered in our family's memory. She was of a good mixed stock, large bone, present but not intrusive or outstanding in any notable way. Singapore, this long, sleek boy was my first Siamese kitty. His name given because of the Siamese Asian descent. History books also show these very regal-looking kitties sitting on each side of the Egyptian queen's throne. Marmalade. Marmee is her nickname for marmalade because she had the colors of the popular marmalade jam in England, where I adopted her. It is only the female kitties who will be a tortoise shell, as the English call them. They always have a white tummy. In the U.S., they're known as calico kitties. As to Marmee, how does a kitty know that it is grief I am drowning in? She does. She moves in close to me, nestles in my neck, lacking human words to console me as I weep in my chair, night after night, her way of trying to comfort me, my most gentle and loving kitty. Tasha, she was my beauty. Wow, Another calico and also adopted in England. Her long hair, the silkiest I have ever touched. She didn't shed. She was the stereotypical comedic scaredy cat. It's the fallout from the traumatic flight in the frigid temperatures of the cargo space when she was forced to be in that area flying across the cold Atlantic Ocean from England. At the slightest unfamiliar sound or the entry of an unknown person, she's gone, deep under a bed, never to be seen again until it is safe. Suling, she's my schizophrenic kitty. No other of my kitties saw things floating in the air, needing to look up, gazing at the psychedelic wonder of whatever it was she saw, content and happy in her world of who knows what. We learned not to expect much from her. She had the colors of a Siamese, but the body structure of the largest of the alley cats I have ever seen. Rumi, he's an alpha mega. He must learn you are the alpha mega, she said, the foster mom. But how could I? He was the most intelligent cat I ever owned. He was my first purebred Siamese, what I had always wanted, as I knew of their reputation to be the smartest in the kitty world, as well as their social, dog-like personalities. They, the amazingly bright and socially interactive ones. Back to, he must learn you are the alpha mega. What? What? Diminish his spirit? Destroy his soul? I just could not. He became my love, and yes, he knew it, but it was okay. He would hear my car coming up the road long before anyone else did and run. Not simply running and meowing, but yowling his loudest, always meeting me at the door, and there was no way out. I had to pick him up, sit with him in the recliner, comfort him, stroke him. It's okay, Rumi. I'm back. I'm back. Only then would he be fine, reassured and calm. The bonding ritual he needed was now complete. At night, watching the evening news on TV, here too he had to be close to me. Not just next to me, but on my lap. Well, not just on my lap either. He stretched his long, lean body to its maximum length so that he could press himself up against my heart. The heartbeat of his mother that he remembered, I came to believe. His early death at 7 years old of congestive heart failure was the saddest passing of all my kitties. Sammy. Sammy is my present kitty. Like all the others, she too is a rescue, and I don't understand why. She's so sweet. I didn't name her, but I liked it, and so I kept it. Everyone says she is beautiful. She is. A Himalayan, which I had never heard of. She is half Persian and half Siamese. She has the color markings of the Siamese, but not the intelligence, which is a little disappointing. She parades her Persian beauty and elegance with her tail held high, which means she's a happy girl. She is my purr machine. It's always turned on. Her Persian trait is her long fur, not silky like Tasha's, and yes, it sheds and sheds. It goes everywhere with me. She only weighs 5 pounds, the smallest of my kitties. She was about 12 years old when I adopted her, which I felt matched nicely with my own age and our shared impending deaths. And so, I am her fourth owner, and I wonder why. Why would the other three have abandoned her? The scars of her abandonments have taken 2 years to heal. Only recently has she begun to sit in my lap. She meows occasionally at my door in the morning, very tentatively, very softly, passive, in keeping with her Persian nature, undemanding, not like the alpha mega Rumi. She's perfect. Just in terms of history, for those of you who love cats as much as I do, the Siamese cat was one of the first domestic cats to be recorded in history books. They really don't know how long ago that they appeared on the scene, but they were born in Asia centuries ago. At that time, they were elevated to the same level as royalty. That's why you see them in Egyptian pictures sitting tall and regal at the end of the armchairs of the queen's throne. And so, it is 7:30 and it's break time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, sure.
We'll have our other readers now. Derek is first. No wine yet.
Hopefully we can give you some wine.
Please, everybody, introduce yourselves since we have some new people here.
My name is Derek Streeter. I'm from England. Steve and I have been together on Shakespeare's birthday this year, 37 years. Now, don't get mad at me, Peggy. I'm going to read one of my poems, but before I do so, I'm going to read a very short Emily Dickinson poem. Very short. Okay. I don't think anybody would put together the names Meryl Streep and Emily Dickinson. However, those of you who may have seen her wonderful film, sad film, Sophie's Choice, there was an Emily Dickinson poem in there. Of course, the choice was deciding between her two children which one she had to give up to be killed in the Nazi death camps. And at the end of the film, it has become too much for her. She commits suicide on a bed. This poem is about a bed. And I thought, how is this related to this whole story? The first word in this poem is ample. It's talking about making your life ample and full. The bed represents the pleasures and the fullness of life. The bed itself, which has a beginning and an end, represents life. The pillow in here, which is round, has no beginning or end, represents after death. Ample make this bed with awe. In it wait till judgment break, excellent and fair. Be its mattress straight, be its pillow round, let no sunrise yellow noise interrupt this ground. Steve and I are in and I've mentioned this before, a group of people that are at risk right now for losing our marriage with what is going on. And you mentioned the idea of becoming part of a culture that you join in rather than sitting in a hotel room and sitting on a beach. One of the things that, which I very much agree with, one of the things that is important to us right now is that Steve's brother is married to a Native American. And just today, or was it yesterday, ICE has started to arrest Native Americans, which is absolutely insane and awful. Anyway, this poem I wrote before I met Steve, the year before I met him. But strangely enough, the end of the poem refers to him, which is interesting. It's about my coming out as a gay person. And at the time I wrote this, which was in 1986, I think it was, 7, it was thought that 1/10 of the population was gay. Since then, I think that has been disproven. I don't think that's anywhere near the number of people. It's much less than that. But this represents that figure. Well, we can change the numbers, but still about coming out and accepting myself. I've called it On the Liberation of Numbers. I thought a thunderbolt would shift years of pleadings, prayers, passionate practice to shatter my desire for the 10 into 90-fold normality. But no bolt ever flashed open in the sky. Silence, darkness, stupor, reminders of wrong askings. I sighed so many lost years, reassessed, resolved, reflected, dishonest loneliness, self-imposed isolation of feelings, and desiring freedom to share love, affection, real desire, rejection, embraced the 10. I thought God's thunderbolt would sift this acceptance of my normality to shatter me and my rejection of the 90. But no, lightning rained softly, peace of soul, feelings of right, gentleness, kindness, joy together, understanding of self with others, signs of his approval. And among the 10, I found the love of the 1 and of him.
Hello, everybody. Congratulations. I really loved your poems. Thank you. I do have a issue. You know, in this beautiful place of unity and love, you somehow managed to divide us with the whole cat and dog debate. And I hope we can work through those differences. I don't really write too many poems. I wrote mostly what I write are lyrics, but I'd be happy to share some of them with you tonight. I was thinking what might transfer well into a reading and not a singing. So this one's called Out of the Sky, and a lot of my songs are kind of about existential questions. And this one, I gave myself a assignment of just using a lot of prepositional phrases. So it's called Out of the Sky. A day in the life of a shell of a man, on the edge of the knife, the whole world in his hands. In the blink of an eye, in the eye of a storm, at the heart of it all, there is blood beating warm, and a chill in the air, and a hush in the room, and a glimmer of hope and a moment of truth. At the end of the line, there's a line in the sand, by some twist of fate, by some sleight of hand. Nothing left to say or do, nothing's funny, that's not true. Nothing's good, that is easy. Nothing left for you to see. Might as well give it a try, maybe live before we die. Chase the clouds out of the sky. Chase the clouds out of the sky. I wake to the sound of the radio news. Everyone's going mad, so sad and confused, dazed and amazed by these signs of the times, by the time on my hands, by the time we got by the light of the moon, by the way, do we lie when we mean what we do when we say? At the end of the road, when the means meets the ends, are God and the devil the closest of friends? Nothing left to say or do, nothing's funny, that's not true, nothing's good, that is easy, nothing here for you to see. Might as well give it a try, maybe live before we die. Chase the clouds out of the sky. Chase the clouds out of the sky. Jack in the box was king of the hill, a flash in the pan till he fell for Jill, a prince for a kiss or a frog in the well. He'll never ask and she'll never tell. Nothing left to say or do, nothing's funny, that's not true, nothing's good, that is easy, nothing here for you to see. Might as well give it a try, maybe live before we die. Chase the clouds out of the sky. Chase the clouds out of the sky. Thank you. Yeah. This is a little nerve-wracking. It's different when I'm not singing. Usually the tone kind of carries the words. So there's a little physical memory process that's a little unusual. I'll do one more. This one is called Better Days. And it was kind of a COVID song. It's like 3 a.m. and I wasn't sure who I was going to get to see again. And I was thinking about some regrets I had had about how I had let actually the relationship of my old previous band and one bandmate in particular, how I let that kind of close, that ending, that chapter, because I was worried I wasn't going to see this person again. So this was kind of to him, but it has a broader application. Okay. Good to see you, my old friend. I wasn't sure that we would ever meet again, but now here we are, and I want to let you know. I'm sorry for the way we let things end, that I made off before we got to make amends, and although I gave up, I never let you go. Remember that night in Wicker Park? Ain't it funny what you find in the dark, like a long-lost friend waiting for you in a bar? Let's raise our glasses to better days, the ones we let go and the ones that got away. Here's to old lovers, and here's to old friends. Here's to the beginning, and here's to the end. I'm sorry for the way we let things end, that I made off before we got to make amends. And although I gave up, I never let you go. And if it's you who dreams one night, that's I who's come to make it right. I hope you wake feeling this long-lost friend's finally found. Rolling on like a downhill stream, smoothing the edges off our rough-hewn dreams. No one knows how much we'll get till we're through. I'm glad I wasted some of mine with you. Let's raise our glasses to better days, the ones we let go and the ones that got away. Here's to old lovers, and here's to old friends. Here's to the beginning, and here's to the end. Thank you.
Don Howard. I live here in Sister Bay in the middle of 10 beautiful acres of woods, and I love every minute of it. I put together a little book of poems and short reflections a while back, and I'll share with you a couple of them. This one, I think, fits with how I feel sometimes after I watch the news. It's entitled Pass the Peace. The booths of life are far apart. The aisles are filled with people. They tread their thoughts-filled paths with little notice of those close enough to touch with a smile, a hand, or a listening ear. Who knows their thoughts, their longing to be loved? Who knows that though they're old or fat or tired or broken down within, there are those who see some value in their lives. I saw the man's set jaw, the woman's tearful eye, and then they both looked down and quietly passed by. The old man ate alone, dry toast and morning tea, and though I tried to catch his eye, he never looked at me. 2 youths came by the window with smiles upon each face, reminders of a carefree time of life with joy and grace. What happens as we grow in years, as life slows down its pace? Do we then find that what we've won wasn't worth the race? Oh, may each man stop long enough to sit a spell and see the beauty God has placed within to share with you and me. And then he shares and when he shares in tears or song or laughter full and fair, I pray he'll find the love of Christ there with time to care. For each one needs to know that he has value there within, and that through sharing it will grow to more than it has been. So venture out. Don't take a month to get to know a friend. The next one near you, he's the one. He may be near his end. As time, most precious part of life, slips by, and before we know, each hour we sit and wait, we miss another chance to grow, to pass the peace of God to man, to one who longs to be part of the love and grace God wants to share with you and me. And the other, which is short, but I thought was appropriate to end with, which I have lost. Where is it? It's entitled God Made Man. God made people different, tall and fat and thin. He made little babies and boys who grow into men. He made their faces rubbery so they could smile and frown. He gave them shining eyes of hair of red and black and brown. He filled their heads with questions so they could grow up smart and put within their bouncing bones a warm and loving heart. He gave them visions of the past and future to behold, and as they grew and lived out life, he taught them to grow old. He put a twinkle in their eye and sat upon their knee, another one to take their place, for soon he'd set them free. And then he came and took them home to live in joy above, to share with those he made before, in faith and hope and love.
Good evening. As she said, my name's Julie. I'm from Sister Bay, but also from Rochester, Minnesota. So when I'm here, I am so grateful that it's the timing for one of the poetry nights. What a privilege to be here and to listen. So thank you so much for what you offered. I've got 2 poems to share tonight. I'm new to poetry writing, but I'm finding my way. And this one I wrote after a trip to Ajo, Arizona, hiking in the Sonoran Desert. And a surprise happened during this time of hiking. We were very far, it's west of Tucson, so very close to the border. And one of the hikes that we went on took us very close to the wall. And I wasn't prepared, and it took my breath away and changed my perception. This poem was written as a response to the beauty of the area. And as I reflect on it, for me, it also makes me think of the people that are there, desperate to get here, and of that journey that they take. So it's just called Ajo, Arizona, Connections. Seeds scattered by hot, arid desert winds, blown into cracks in the dry, sun-baked, rocky terrain. The cracks hold sacred spaces. The seeds hold sacredness too. The seeds wait for water, wisdom within. In stillness and solitude, the seeds begin their transformation, moistened by rain dripping from the ancient shore of desert rock. They don't compete. Thirsting for water, they silently receive. Blooms emerge, desert oasis of vibrant colors, wisdom in the waiting. And now the blooms wait. They don't compete. Their pollen is carried by the same wind and by bees and butterflies who know the way to water. Wisdom on wings. So this other one I decided to read tonight because of the way the weather was today. I don't know if you had a chance to be out there, but it was amazing and wild. So this one's was written during Advent. Solitary snow angel resting in the moonlight, wild, untamed wind swirling through the night. Oh, the Spirit calls me to this place of no distractions, proclaiming the perpetual invitation of metanoia, to turn towards the light, to begin anew. Prepare here in the cold, clean snow to welcome Christ once more into my heart. Stars shining above, light glistening on evergreen boughs. Angels accompany me through my wilderness. Spacious skies above, silently, serenity settles all around. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Donna Johnson from Sturgeon Bay, and this is a poem I dug up. It's a very old one, so some of you may have heard it before, but it is also a weather poem, and I've had to experience something similar quite a bit since I've started working up here and living in Sturgeon Bay. So. This one is entitled Mornings After. Leaving the restaurant, I stop, survey the scene, squint-eyed and dismayed. With a sigh, I trudge through the swirling snow and ice crystals, hit the unlock button to my car, and am puzzled when my tugging doesn't produce an open door. Then, with a crack and a pop, my ice-encrusted car yields and welcomes me to its inner sanctum. But sanctuary must wait until I divest my car of its ice sheath. Amid the storm's fury, wind howling in my ears, I chip, 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 and scrape the windows clean. At last, I enter, settle on the sheepskin seat cover, and tuck myself in with the seatbelt, selecting soothing music to accompany me on the treacherous journey home. I inch tentatively down the slope of the parking lot to the slick street. I leave the relative safety of Sturgeon Bay and head north on Highway 57, the treachery of a slush snow ice-covered road compounded by blowing, drifting snow and near whiteout conditions. There is none of the usual small-town comfort of driving through Institute, Valmy, Jacksonport. They stand dark and unwelcoming, chiding me for being out on this night, their tisking in rhythm with my windshield wipers. At last I am home, and I crunch to the outside stairs up to my cozy abode and the delighted greeting of my patient dog. I retire to my recliner, invite Addie to join me for some snuggles, and with her snoring on my lap, I drift off. Hours later, my eyes flutter open, assaulted by brightness and the growling and scraping of a snowplow. I look out my balcony windows onto dazzling whiteness under a cerulean canopy, sing the praises for mornings after.
Thank you all. I think you didn't save any for us, Meg. I didn't. Okay. Yeah. You'll have to write some more and bring them next time. No pressure. Welcome everybody into the other room, and we'll have a little something to eat, some conversation. And he's fine, he's this timid little thing, real scared, but he's from